Why did more people move out of Maryland last year than into Maryland? What's going on? Is there something wrong with the state? Well, that's what I'm going to go over today. My name is Eddie Brady with Showcase Real Estate here in Maryland. And in this video, I'm going to give you the top 5 reasons that people moved out of Maryland in 2022. And this data all comes from United Van Lines, which is the moving company. And they have a ton of data across the entire United States about why people move into and out of every state. So we're going to go over the first reason that people moved out of Maryland in 2022, and that is the cost of living. It's no secret to those living in Maryland that it's an expensive place to live. In fact, it's the 6th most expensive place to live in the entire United States, just behind Alaska. So that's a huge factor in determining whether or not you should move into or out of Maryland. And that was a top 5 factor, according to United Van Lines, of why people moved out of the state in 2022. And I think a lot of the affordability issue here in Maryland has to do with housing. We have a lot of jobs here. It's a big population, and the inventory of housing just can't keep up, which I know is the story in a lot of metropolitan areas right now, but Maryland especially has extremely low inventory right now in 2023, and it has for a while, so that's impacted the housing prices, and incomes haven't kept up to the point that they really need to, so that's why we're seeing people move out of the state to other more affordable states. But the surprising thing is that only 8.45% of people that left Maryland cited cost of living as their main reason for moving. So what are the main reasons then that they're moving? That's such a small percentage. I was surprised by that. Well, the next reason that people moved out of Maryland into another state was for a different lifestyle. And living in Maryland my entire life, this one makes a lot of sense to me. You know, we've treated Maryland as our home base, which means we love living here, our family's here, but we like to travel everywhere else in the US to have a lot of fun adventures. In Maryland, there's not as much to do, especially in the colder months. There's just really nowhere to go. We don't have really nice ski slopes or anything fun to do in wintertime necessarily. It's more of a warm weather state. We have beaches in the Chesapeake Bay, and all of those are much better in the spring and summertime and fall. So in winter, there's just not a lot to do. So if you're looking for a much bigger adventure, you're gonna move to a different state. Or if you're looking for the beach lifestyle all year round, you're gonna move to a different state other than Maryland. But again, this is not the biggest reason that people left Maryland in 2022. Only 21.83% of people left Maryland for a new lifestyle. So why did people leave Maryland in 2022? What was a bigger reason than the lifestyle? And that leads us into our next reason, which is jobs. Now, some of you watching this video that are moving to Maryland for a job might be a little confused by this because Maryland has an extremely strong job market. But I think the reason that people marked jobs as their main reason, or one of their main reasons for leaving Maryland, was that a lot of the jobs in Maryland are flexible with work from home. So you can have an amazing paying job right here in Maryland, but they don't require you to come into the office. So that allows you to live in the place that you really want to be, a warm weather spot, somewhere with more fun activities. You're somewhere that fits your lifestyle better than Maryland. So I think when we look at this factor, we have to take that into account. Maryland is an amazing place for jobs. We have pretty much every industry here. We have a ton of tech jobs, government jobs, contracting jobs. So I wouldn't say leave Maryland because there's no jobs, because that's simply not true. But I think because the job market is so strong and there's a lot of tech jobs, it allows people to move out of Maryland because of their jobs. But again, not the top reason. In fact, only 30.28% of people mark this as their top reason for leaving Maryland. So what's another reason that people leave Maryland? It's retirement. And I rarely hear someone say that they want to move to or stay in Maryland for retirement. And the reason is that the cost of living is high. So if you're on a fixed income from your retirement, you're not getting the most bang for your buck here in Maryland. So I think that's why a huge chunk of those that left in 2022 were retiring somewhere either warmer or cheaper or both. And I'm not surprised by this one. I think this is going to remain this way, especially with the way our population is right now. There's a lot more seniors that are retiring in the coming years. So I think we're going to see a lot more of this, and this is going to become a major trend here in Maryland. But surprisingly, again, this is not the top reason, even though it's very close, but it's not the top reason that people moved out of Maryland. The top reason that people moved out of Maryland in 2022 was to be closer to family. So regardless of the cost of living, regardless of jobs, regardless of lifestyle, family was the main reason that people left Maryland in 2022. So I think this is always going to be in a close race with retirement. It's 40% versus 39%. They probably fluctuate every year battling it out. I think it's going to stay that way. And I'm not surprised by that either. But why is this a good thing for Maryland to see population moving out of the state? Well, first, it's not like there's a mass exodus in Maryland. When they recorded the data, 49% of the moves in Maryland were moving into the state and 51% of moves were moving out of the state. So it's just a 2% difference. It's not a huge decline, but the reason I think this is good is that our inventory of housing is so low in Maryland, and this will only help that. There will be less buyers in the market, and if they're moving out of state and they own a home, there will be more inventory for sale. So what that means for you is that the cost of living in Maryland in the housing area is going to be cheaper. So that's a good thing for everybody in Maryland to have this happen. And another reason that I think this is good for Marylanders is traffic. Let's face it, traffic in Maryland is horrendous on highways like I-270, on 495 and 695 beltways. It can just be horrible during rush hour. So it's not going to hurt to have a few more people leaving the state for the years to come. It's still not going to hurt the economy. Our economy in Maryland is extremely strong. So let's take a little less traffic and a little more affordable housing for the win with these people moving out of Maryland. And I think an important thing to note about the reasons that people left Maryland is that they're mostly personal. It really rarely has something to do with the state itself. Other than cost of living, it's more of a personal reason that they left. So I think that's a good thing. I think Maryland is an amazing place to live. So if you're thinking of moving here or within Maryland, reach out to me. I would love to help you with your search. My information is listed below. You can also reach out to me on my Instagram at Eddie Brady Real Estate. And as always, if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe so that you stay up to date on all of my videos about living in Maryland.